Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for this NAVTOR customer webinar. And my name is Bjørn Aakre from marketing, and I will be your host today in this webinar. In these webinars, we want to share our knowledge and make sure that everyone can get the most value from the NAVTOR products and services. And this time we will have a look at the digital logbooks, which just released in a new version 2.4. And we will demonstrate how going digital with logs can help you improve the log keeping tasks in your organization. First, a little bit of housekeeping as usual. This platform where we host our webinars is called 23. And in the right-hand side, you will find the chat window at the lower end. And you can post messages and say hi and let us know you're here. And you can also post questions in the top of the menu. And this will allow us to bring the questions up in full screen for everyone to see. And we will take them during the Q&A session later. And Chrome will give you the best experience. So I will bring up my presentation and I will just have a quick look through to the agenda for today. As said, today's topic is about digital logbooks, and we're really happy to have a wide range of product experts with us today to share the knowledge and discuss the topics. First, we will have Amitabh Sankranti, who's the Director of Shipping Analytics, and he will do a presentation on the digital logbooks and then bring on his expert team to discuss further topics as we go along. So if this is your first time visiting these webinars, and I can see there's quite a lot of first timers there, I would just quickly visit our digital ecosystem. And this is the center of NAVTOR's products and services, and is what let data flow seamlessly between ship and shore and through the NAVTOR cloud services. And this enables the whole organization to look at the same picture of data and get the updates out to the vessels. So without any further delay, I will bring Amitabh onto the screen. Good morning, Amitabh.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Glad to be again here for another webinar. This time we would like to talk about the 2.4 release. And I think over the period we have been building the digital logbooks suite to a bigger suite for more logs. So I thought it was a good opportunity to share this with you. So as mentioned by Bjørn, we will try and run through a little bit of a demo and a presentation. So I'll try to keep that brief because we would like to take more questions, because log keeping and in digital form is quite a new concept, but not as new anymore because it's been a couple of years since the regulation has been allowed in the form of digital logs. And so to give you a little perspective also of our clients, I've included with us this time our team from the sales and customer success, and they represent different regions of our entire sales team as well as the customer journey team. So I'll just introduce them briefly before I go ahead. And so if I start from the extreme east, I think that's Taku Imai-san from Japan. Could you say hello?
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
Okay.
From Japan. Thank you.
Great. Then we have Vasilis. He's based out of Athens, so he's looking at the European clients in that region, which is a heavy, densely populated shipping district.
Hello from Greece.
Yeah. Then we have Hemant, who is working out of Mumbai, who is the director of logbook operations, looking at all the onboarding, support, and interacting with all the clients. Yeah, Captain, he's
Hi.
a master mariner. Yeah.
Hi, warm welcome
Thanks,
from
Hemant.
Mumbai.
Mhm. And then we have Abhishek sitting in the middle in Singapore. He's our contact point with a lot of tech managers. I think some of you may know him who are there in the seminar. Likewise, I think all of them would be known to some of our existing clients because we are pretty much there. Please, Abhishek.
Yeah, hi everyone from Singapore.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I think I'm done with the introductions. And just to tell you, of course, Bjørn mentioned that there are questions you could ask, and there would be a system that we would follow through on those. You could also keep typing them in. Our team who's looking at these questions would also try and answer some, but essentially we try to take them at the end. But please do keep posting your questions so that we can answer them and give you real value out of this webinar as we go along. So if you look at digital logbooks as of today, we have quite a complete solution because we have all the environmental logs covered. Then we have included a lot of operational logs. So we consider ourselves quite a complete log keeping solution, especially when it comes to the log keeping on board merchant ships. Then when you look at the company requirements, we've always found that every company does their operations in a different manner, and that means that the operational log keeping varies very dramatically across clients. So for that, we have a pretty much configurable model which really can cater to your requirements and make it easy to make this transition. We've also done a lot of, continue to do a lot of intuitive changes, and these have been, of course, derived from our R&D team, as well as a lot of feedback from our customers who believe a lot in the product. And that has meant that a lot of new things have come on board, which have made it easier to log. And then we've included checklists also as an additional feature, which now is getting quite a big push because we also have a portable device where these checklists can be completed. And these checklists are, at the end result, able to also do a lot of log keeping that you would erstwhile do just as a log keeping job. And now it would be more of just completing your operations and having logs done. So we are on board more than 600 ships, and about 260 ships are live and who have gone totally paperless. So it's been a great experience to get them paperless because it meant interacting with flag states, uh, classification bodies, and since the interpretation by each flag and classification body is a little different, it's always been a little bit of a journey. So that's why we have a very strong support team and a customer success team behind this to make it a success. So when you look at, I'll just quickly touch upon a few points before I jump into the actual demo of the software. So we have a lot of flag approvals, as would any product require for being a digital log on board. And based on the different flags, the approach is a little different. Some directly give you approvals, some are basing it on the criteria of looking at the type approval certificate, which we right now have from LR, KR, Class NK, and Indian Register. We also have flag, I mean, some direct approvals such as Panama, Marshall Islands. Any flag that is doing it directly, we have those approvals. Then once you have these 2 points satisfied, for a ship to get to go digital with their logs, they need to have a certificate on board, and that means that there's a class survey or an audit of the ship, and then a vessel certificate is handed over to the vessel, and that would mean they could go live. So the basic checkpoints for any for the software would be: are we MEPC 31274 compliant? Do we have ISO 21745 compliance? And do we comply with flag state rules as well as the SOLAS IMO resolutions? So we have all of these in our type approval certificate, which qualifies us as a approved logbook provider. So when you look at the range of logs offered, we have quite a few now. We started off with the environmental logs, and these are, of course, standard. The Annex 6 log is a log that is defined by some of the flag states, such as Bahamas and Panama flag, where other flags have not defined a certain format. So for those, we can create them as an operational log. And the others, of course, you could follow the standard pattern here. When it comes to operational logs, we have quite a few of them, and every once in a while when we engage with clients, we find that there's a request for more such logs, maybe different as per their working structure, so we can cater to those as well. And when it comes to different types of vessels, yes, we do comply with those, and this is just a matrix. So as on date, when you talk about operational logs, which is the main focus of our present today's webinar, is because we would like to showcase what we have there and what's making the difference. We have customizable content similar to what you do in your existing paper log. We can ensure a lot of continuity between your existing logging procedures on board to the digital log, so making the transition that much easier. When you talk about logs, these are, since it's digital, the logs can speak to each other, and that would mean less duplication or no duplication should you wish, and that would reduce the admin burden on board. We've also tried to automate a lot of tasks. So I'll show you these in the demonstration where these are intuitive events. You can define certain parameters that you want, like maybe as per SMS regulation XYZ, steering gear test was done or a main engine test was done. So all of those can be automated, giving you a higher quality log keeping outcome as well as a higher compliance. Uh, these are automatic texts that we can uh, record in a single click, and these are also definable to what you would require in your company. And then, of course, we have reports and checklists. And when you talk about accuracy, we have validations, alerts. We also are much easier to deploy because we have a NavBox type approved hardware, and we can do all the deployment remotely, meaning that you could be up and running with the IT infrastructure and the setup pretty fast. But then, of course, you still have to do the change management process before you can go live with your logs. So that then becomes the bottleneck for changeover. And of course, we offer you a single unified platform. So we have different templates suited to different law keeping regimes. I won't go into these, but for anyone who's interested, you can reach out to us offline. We can show you some of the off the shelf logbooks that we have. And besides that, we can actually also enhance and change them to your specific requirements. So if you look at the client list that we have as on date, we have quite a few clients across different geographies. And that's the reason why I brought in the other team as well. But before we go further, I think I'll stop here and actually switch to the software to give you a quick demo so that it'll get you on to view what we're talking about. So I guess you could all see my computer screen now. Great. Okay, so this is the recent version 2.4 software. I'm also running a GPS simulator since I'm sitting in an office environment. This is a simulated position that comes in, and this can be actually auto-logged into any of the operations that require the position data to be captured along with them. So we have all the logs represented here because I've taken the system administrator login where I can see all the logs, but the logs visible are basis the role that is being designated for the person logging in, and as per the logs we activate. So we can activate them always in a modular format. So you would see only those many logs as the ones that you're subscribing to. So on the home page, we have a few data points, or let's say in points of interest that would be there for the user, where we have the voyage details. Then you can have this can be edited and changed and updated so that you have a latest view of for the watchkeeper who comes on watch as to what's happening. Is it a sea passage? Is it maneuvering? Or is it in port? Then anything that is pending for signature would show up in this window, which gives you, as per your designated role, what is pending for you to sign. So that would show up here. Besides that, then you have a task list, which is something that we designed to really make it easier for you to remember what to log. And this is basically deriving from a matrix that you define as per your company. And let's say I'm a duty officer who comes on watch. I could just come and see what is overdue or due and keep completing those tasks. Each of these tasks are hyperlinked then to an activity in a specific logbook, which is the Deck logbook in this case. And you could go and log this event directly from here. If you want to trigger what is relevant for your current watch or for the future 4 hours, you can come and click here and say, please generate for me what tasks are required to do. And it'll generate all the tasks that you need to do. And these are all you could see as new tasks, which is, and they also come with a timestamp. So it's due at 12 o'clock. These are due at 1400. And these are normal log keeping. This is a recording of fixes and bearings, lookout. So this is predominantly what you would see is required for the Deck logbook because we have configured these auto tasks for the Deck logbook. Then you have a map which will show you some details of where the vessel is, the speed, etc., coming from the GPS, and you have some details of what has been logged in the deck logbook. Then you have some tank details, especially if you're using the environmental logs, you would like to see the contents of various tanks where you can select those and actually see them. I'll speed up a bit because there's quite a lot to cover, but of course we can take questions in specific areas that are of interest. Then we have some alerts as well, which come from the latest data. And you have these different trends in your bilge and sludge so that you can actually monitor if it's increasing or decreasing. So these are these are the screens that you would see in the home page, but of course there's not much of action in this page other than signing off on some entries that are there and picking up the tasks that you want to complete. So if you go to the tech logbook, we've right now I'll just first run you through the environmental log so that you get an idea of what we have. I've done this before, so I'll go pretty fast. And so we have the oil record book, and the concept that we have is you think of the activity that you wish to do, select that activity. All the codes as per the regulation would appear on the right hand side. You choose the tanks and the destinations as per the piping diagram that we configure in the software. Then you put in the times and then fill out the details. If there is something that can be auto-filled, you can click on it, that data would come in, and then the entry goes in. So this pattern repeats itself across all the environmental logs where you have a set of activities. So likewise, if it's loading for an oil tanker, you have a loading activity here with multiple loads, single loads. If you wish to search for an activity quickly, you can just type here and you could go to that activity right away, and that would open up and you select the tanks, all the details could be filled in. Similarly, Annex 6 is quite similar. This one that you see here is modeled on the Bahamas format, and it has all the activities as per the codes defined by Bahamas flag. And these details, like the position and other stuff which is relevant to the time stamp, would directly populate in the software, so you don't have to really key in positions, etc. And if you have more integrations, when you click on the autofill, all that data could come in automatically. When you look at the cargo record book, this is for chemical tankers, and here also it's the same with different activities, pre-wash, etc. We can deep dive a little more into it. What you see here is in these screens is the pipes, the tanks of these associated with these logs, and the quantities carried in those tanks. So it gives you a brief idea of what is the contents in them. Then we have the ballast water log. This logbook is undergoing a change. By the end of the year, we would be coming out with the latest version to satisfy MEPC 80. And that would mean all these codes that we have for now would change to alphabetical codes. So we are ready to release it, but we're just waiting for the regulation to come into force. And some of our clients want to go ahead a little earlier. So we may be releasing it for them at that point. So this one is specifically modeled on the guidance given by Liberian flag, but we've done these different configurations also for different types of um, flag states. So when you look at the format of why I club environmental logs into one category is because the formats are fixed for them. So you essentially have a date code column, then an item item code, and then the records with the data flowing into a standard page with a signature at the bottom of the logbook. That's just like the paper log, and it would export also similar to the paper log. Then comes the environment log, which is a little variant of them because it's a garbage log, which is Annex 5. And in this, the format is different because you have all these uh, different categories of garbage. And as you fill the log, it would all populate here. So this also has the same discharge to sea, discharge to other ships. And when you talk about incineration, we can also configure this to show only those categories of garbage you can incinerate. So we customize it to that extent that you get only those activities that you can do, thereby making your record keeping that much more accurate. So you don't get to have incorrect or inconsistent entries as per what your system could do. Then there's the garbage record book part 2 for HME substances, if you are carrying any of those, especially bulk carriers. And then you have a report section where you can generate reports from any of the logbooks. So you choose the logbook that you wish, and from here you can export in various formats. So if you export the PDF, it would come out as a PDF record in the standard format with the instruction page and details that you wish to, the guidance details that are given for MEPC 312. And it has the vessel details, it has the staff details who have been in this log, and then the records follow through with signatures. We've also enhanced this a bit, that we've included now a more secure PDF, so you can actually not copy it anymore, and it has restrictions so that you can also tell if it is tampered. So it's one of the recent features that we've included. We have an integrated tank soundings, or let's say volume management, record keeping provision within the software, so that you can tie up what you're recording in the tanks to what you actually are reporting in the logs as well. So you could update the bunker tanks, different sludge tanks, lube oil tanks, etc. here, and you can also log them down with events, especially if you want to get bunker tanks in, and then you want to say, okay, this is at the time of standby, at commencement of sea passage. All of that could be captured in here, and those timestamps are available for further analysis as we extract them into reports. Then comes, of course, the we've also gone to a little more extent of tracking what garbage is stored on board, so you can actually update as per your garbage management plan what is the storage and capacity that you have, and track against that what are the volumes in place. Then comes the Deck and Engine logs, which are quite now is much more extensive than what it was before. So we have a deck logbook, we have a chronometer log, we have radar logs, compass error book, cargo log, GMDSS log, gyro error log, and then medical log. So many of these logs are some of the demands that our clients have been putting on us, and you could just to view what is happening in the logbook. You can select one of them, and you see all the historic activities here. You can select a filter to see which ones, because it's a little hard to open up all of them. You can actually select now and have a preview on the right hand side. If you wish to edit an activity, you can edit it from here. We're also capturing the position with every activity. So if you want to extract some intelligence out of this, that can be done. For normally logbooks have a lot of events to record. So what we've done is you have a remarks section here, which you can fill out, and this is then prompts you also as to what all you have in your repository of, let's say, remarks on the ship. So if you're saying pilot card is updated, you can have master exchanged information with the pilot as per pilot card, and these are all customizable auto text. Should you wish to edit it, you can edit it, or you can do multiple let's say remarks together. So if I want to say 1 hour notice also given at the same time, then I can have it here. I can reposition it up and down, and all of this goes in to the log pretty easily. If you prefer doing it in a different way, then a quick remark, especially when there's a lot happening, you can just pick it up from this side, where you just click on it and say, standby engine is given. That gets logged in with the position and time. And all of this is then visible in your logbook in a report format, which is familiar to the paper log that you're doing. So you can see here there's a 1 hour notice given, and standby is given at this position. So we made it a lot more easier to log your events directly in, and you can sift through the pages and see previous logs. And if you wish to really make an entry on the screen, you could also do it by clicking directly here and going and entering the data. Some data would auto populate with autofills, where we have configured these feeds in, so then it reduces the time for you to really make these entries in. With some clients, we are working with specific data set which we extract, store in the Navbox API, and then bring into the log, so that dominant part of the records are already generated beforehand. So you don't have to really labor that much anymore to make entries, but of course, you have the liberty to edit it and change it as you go on. So coming back to these logs, so we have all of these, and reports are also pretty can communicate across. So if I have some data which I can get from a different log, such as the engine distance, if it's been entered in the engine log, it's coming from there automatically. So it basically, when I load the noon report, it's looking for the noon report in the engine log and pulling out what data they have entered there for today's noon. And then I'm ready to go and update all the other parameters that I have. The other logs are, these are again forms, of course, and you can fill them out to capture them. The templates for each of these logs is different. So you would have a different template to view. So if I'm viewing the GMDSS log, it's coming like the GMDSS log format. Likewise, when you export it, it's going to be different. If you're looking at the medical log, you have a simple medical log where I had, given whatever columns entry was captured within this. So these are the ones that we say are configurable. We can create a configuration, but of course we can't totally redesign it to suit a client's requirement of their specific paper log at this point. But we can definitely get all the data points in and get it to a similar level that is quite almost, if not identical, to your existing log keeping on board. Then, of course, we have these checklists. Checklists we have created for some of the clients in Eastern side. I think Taku-san probably will elaborate a little bit about how the experience has been, because it's been very useful that now you can have your pre-arrival, navigation, anchor watch, all these checklists within the software, and it's pretty easy to follow up. These timestamps actually can now be translated also into specific entries in the logbook. So let's say if it's a daily check and I'm doing a few of these checks and I come to this point where I've tested the general alarm and I've tested the, let's say there's a whistle. So with this one, I've actually created a auto log event, which should save and go to the tech logbook that whistle tested and tried out. So this would then sit in one of these boxes here, so which is pending for confirmation. So you'll see here in the remarks, I have a confirmation saying ship's whistle tested. And if I commit this into the log, it goes in and this has been logged successfully. Uh, that would mean if I close this window and go back to the deck logbook uh, window, ship's whistle tested is already logged in this logbook. So that's where we think operations can be taken in such a manner that it just completes your log keeping without really making the task of log keeping a drudgery sort of event that you need to do your log keeping now. So then there is the engine log. I may stray a little bit on time, but I think Bjørn, you should raise your hand if I need to speed up, or if I've got 3 minutes more. Okay, right. All right. So you have the engine log, which is also pretty similar. We have these reports, and once you want to do a report, you just click on it. You have quite a lot of these parameters that come in here, and if these values are updated in your fuel tables, or in the tank tables, these values can come in here. Likewise, we're making it for counters and other such details which can come in automatically. Then you have, based on different types of engines, we've had a lot of requests that we want a diesel engine, we want a steam engine. So these logs are pretty much configurable, because we can get those data fields in. And then the reports are also made to that extent identical to those, to some extent or other. I mean, because this becomes complicated because you have tables, matrices, and different representations, but by and far we can replicate quite a lot of it. When it comes to the uh, yeah, we have checklists as well here, so you can do checklists in the engine room. And then the recent change that we also made was we sort of modernized the way we can do signatures in the tech log and the engine log, because it's quite labor intensive, since a lot of transactions go in, and now you can actually see what is pending for you on a particular day and just pick out those and sign them off directly from here. You can also assign different people rights. So we were having a little bit of a, let's say, more rigid system of allocating signatures to only certain roles, but now I can have multiple roles. I can even get an engineer into one of these signatures if I wish, but and that would determine what can be signed, what cannot be signed. You can also have additional signatures should you wish, and this makes it a lot easier to track and complete. Yeah, so I think there's a lot more that I could show here, but I would stop here. There's the major changes that are there is, of course, we've done a UI change for the Deck logbook. We've brought in easier signatures. We've brought in these events that are much easier to log and capture in the logbook. There is integration with the GPS positions and more data as it comes. And I've shown you some examples of how the logs can be auto-populated. There is also this one that I missed. I think I'll just show you that briefly. So if there's something pending or overdue, it gets activated as a hyperlink. So if I click on this, I just straight away come to 2nd of July 1900, and then I can record all this data into the software. So you can actually complete your log keeping in multiple ways and make it a lot more suitable to how your operating style on board the ship is. So with that, I think I'll switch back to my presentation now, where I think I left off here. So what we did is when we went across to discuss, say that we're going to do this webinar, we got some feedback from our global teams, and therefore I sort of summarized the questions that came across from different regions, and I'll show you those so that maybe we can get a head start on the questions and probably get the ball rolling into questions as well. So some of the common questions that came across, I mean, we've been doing a lot of installations. We have a lot of clients with NavBox on board, and they've been asking us how the software can be installed. Is a NavBox necessary? And probably, I think, Taku-san, would you like to take that answer? Because you've been dealing with a lot of such questions there. Yeah.
All right, sure. I will take over the case. Yes. Okay, so the remote installations and also whether NavBox is necessary. My answer is we highly, okay, just a moment. I need to share my screen. Hold on there. Share, okay. Do you see my screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so this is the slide that I made. So when if you use a NavBox, it is 100% cyber secure, and then also digital logbook happens a lot of small updates and then upgrading on the software. So we can do that everything remotely. You don't have to have like a team view or anything like that. So it is we really recommend to use the NavBox on board. So this is the reason. And it is possible to use the onboard PC, but it's quite a bit of a troublesome because of course we cannot remotely access to it. So any changes on the software or configurations, we have to have a team viewer already on, and also internet access is there required. So that is the quite a bit of a trouble there. And then also autofill is very limited with the computer, but NavBox has a sensor data, so we can utilize all that digital data into the autofilling. So that is the advantage on the NavBox. So yes, so remotely installations are possible. Yes.
Right. No, great. Thank you, Taku-san. And of course, one point to add there is that NavBox is a type-approved hardware, and the regulation requires you to have a type-approved hardware, which makes it that much more important to use that.
Okay.
So then,
okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Then I think there's one more question: is how do checklists help in log keeping? I think I demonstrated that part here, and I think we'll skip that probably. It's something that we have. If we have time, probably we can. Taku-san can do a demo of the data done by some of the clients that are using this. When it comes to cargo record books and chemical tankers, how do you update values? I think this question came from the Japan side, I think, Taku-san, where, correct me if I'm wrong, they were asking for how you record loading and discharging operations in a chemical tanker, and do you have the record keeping for cleaning and transfer? So I'll quickly just demonstrate it in the software itself. When you look at the software, you have the cargo record book here, and of course I showed briefly loading, that's there, so you can select the tanks and all these would pre-fill. If you're looking at a transfer, internal transfer, then there are certain activities for internal transfer that come in under these codes. And if you're looking at cleaning of cargo tanks and cleaning and transfer, these are also very much possible in these. So you can actually select those tanks, and you can say whether the entire contents were transferred to C, and you have warnings and updates on those. And when it comes to endorsement by surveyors, we also have that within the software here. So you can actually complete the entry, print the record, and bring it back in as an attachment and store it in the endorsement section here. So that's, I think, a little quick answer to that question. Coming back to the presentation, do we have cargo logs? This is something that I think, Takusan, you asked me if the clients are asking about it. So again, I'll jump to answer this on your behalf. Unless you have some, we can take it up towards the end. But we do have cargo logs as well. So what we do is, if we want to create a cargo log, we can create it within this section. And we have done one here, which has a cargo noon, where you can actually have different tanks, grades of cargo to enter, and that could be a cargo log. So basically, since we have a configurable model, we can actually build these in. Of course, the sky is not the limit. I mean, if there's something that you ask is totally different, we may have to spend some time on making the code change. Takusan, did you have any other questions that I missed out that probably you would like to ask, or probably I can answer,
No, at
or
the
you could
moment,
answer?
no, at the moment, everything is good now. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. So then I'll just jump to the next lot of questions that we got from our team. So the common questions that came across, I think, from our clients in Athens and Greece. And so the first one is, are there any dashboards for easy monitoring of logbooks? So can you elaborate a little bit on that question, Vasilis, because then I'll show some of the BI dashboards if it's specific to shore side or vessel side.
Mhm. Yes, of course. First of all, we have the Office portal where the users in the shore side can see everything that the vessel sees without the capabilities to edit or entries or create new entries according to the regulations. And of course, we have the Power BI, where all the data that is captured in the logs are then displayed and analyzed in Power BI that you have access. And so that you can get insights from, you can get insights for a vessel or for your complete fleet.
Right. Thanks. And Vasilis, I've just displayed some of these BI dashboards that come across. So we've been asked quite a bit from some of our clients that can we have a summary of garbage, discharged from a vessel. So we've actually, this is all integrating from the logbooks coming across, so you can see your entire data for the fleet. Then also we have different dashboards for different purposes. So these are giving you like analysis of how many ozone depleting substances were handled across your fleet, and you can actually see regions also where they replenished the gas or if it leaked, for example. You have trends and analytics on bilge and sludge generation. Uh, and all of this is pretty interactive. These are dashboards, and these are eventually going to be in NavFleet. But for the moment, we have these as standalone, and of course, we can show them to other clients who are interested more to know. But it's quite active here. I'll just quickly come back to my questions. I just need to get back there. Okay. So I've shown you briefly what the show view looks like, and I think Vasilis gave you a little overview of what the ships have for themselves, and those are also part of the home screen dashboards that we had shown. So there was this other question that came across comes across pretty often, what I understand from some of the people who, when they want to see what logbooks are in the digital format, what happens when a crew leaves or leaves entries unsigned. So I'll quickly answer that for you, Vasilis. So that one was more about all signatures in the logbook are specific to a role. So when that person signs off, it doesn't matter because that role can handle or sign them. And even otherwise, since now we have given multiple roles to a particular activity, these can be actually handled by a senior in case they have to override or step in, like for another person's role. And um, I think Vasilis, you need to elaborate what was it that was asked on the Navstation app work in environment. Is it about? Yeah. The
Yeah, it's about how the mobile application is working. Actually, there is an Android and iOS application.
yeah,
The mobile device then has to be connected to the Wi-Fi of the vessel, and the Wi-Fi network must have access to the network of the Navbox, where the data is stored. This should be allowed by the IT policy of the company. As long you have that, then in the desktop app, there is a QR code. You can scan it, and you are directed to the log keeping in Navstation app.
right, perfect. So I'll just run through this since we talked about the Navstation app. I can run through the video. So right now, this is what you see in the Navstation app. So if you go on the Android or iOS store and download it and connect it to the logs, you can actually see all the logbook data. For now, we only limit it to the Deck and Engine logs. You can actually go through tasks within it. You can even log quick events. So if you're going on the move on the bridge and the pilot is on board, you can actually go and click all those details in and have those events logged pretty much in one click with all positions. Then as we also have, I'll just jump a little bit forward, I think. So you can also, once you enter these quick events, sometimes you may wish to really enhance the data. So you can actually go in pretty easily and add or amend these details that are logged through auto events. And it's open to you to keep doing it till the time you sign it. So likewise, this displays that all the activities that we had just now demonstrated in the desktop application are available here for you to use. Another great feature is speak to log events. This is, I'm actually speaking and it took that as a transcribed my voice into the logged event. And so you can actually, complete stuff pretty easily when it comes to remarks. So this is just, I'm cycling through the various other logs which are there and how you could reach into them and really log events under those. So there's the cargo log as well, which I demonstrated for different grades of cargo that you want to record. Then there's a GMDSS log. GMDSS log also has these pre-filled monthly, quarterly or daily self-tests. So once you select those appear there. And wherever there's an auto text, that would also fill in. Then you have checklists. The checklist is the one actually that is pretty much now benefiting from a mobile device because you can actually get in and do this on the go if you're at your repeater or checking something. We can also modify these to have data elements in so that you can record some parameters should you wish. Then there's the engine log also is much similar with all the engine log activities. And you would see there's an autofill button in all of these. So if it's configured and you're online, you would get this. So there is also, I think I was too fast here. So there's a day mode and a night mode. And when you come in here, there is also the offline and online mode. So when you see this green bar here, you can switch to offline mode and go and complete your log keeping, come back. And once you're in range, it will sync entirely to the database, which is on the common desktop. This is an example of how the taskbar can be used where I'm typing in, I've gone on a car deck or something and I've just said, okay, I've completed the fire round. I type it into my mobile, it syncs to your logbook and it's visible there. So we've tried to attempt, I've just given you a little run through and I stop here. I think I would ideally like to show it live to you, but I wasn't able to juggle so many screens at the same time. So forgive me for that. But I think with this, I stop here and take on more questions and maybe we can demonstrate certain parts of the software. Please. Over to you, Bjørn, in terms of.
Thank you very much. Lots of information and exciting news in the digital logbooks. And we've dealt with questions along the...
I think there was one question on the regulatory side, Bjørn, which I need to get to.
Yeah.
So if I take that now, or do you wish, how are we placed on time? Okay, great. So I think there was one important question that came across, which is on the regulatory side. And for that, typically it's what is the how does flag states deal with the logbooks? What are the processes? I'm probably missing those questions, but I think Hemant, can I hand over to you here, and you can just elaborate those questions that you got, and then run through this presentation, a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I think there are a few questions which we always get, which is like a frequently asked question from various clients all over. And one such question is, how much time does it take for the crew to get familiarized and go live? Right, that's the basic question we keep getting. So see, this is a very subjective question. Each vessel is different in terms of operational complexity, schedules, complement of crew, IT infrastructure. So the onboarding will accordingly vary on all these factors, together with fact how the office management would to drive this agenda. If, for example, there's a clear agreed KPI to go paperless and all parties are aligned, then it may be possible to achieve this under 30 days, subject to receipt of certification from the flag or the class and the number of logs to be adopted. And when we do that, we do have a systematic procedure to adopt what we feel. I think there's a slide which we can showcase here, which demonstrate how we go about onboarding. So we do this in two ways. We divide this whole process into a vessel side and the office side, where the onboarding is done on the vessel side with respect to weekly planners and checklist. That is the starting point, and you could see on your screen these 7 steps. This is the whole process what we divide our onboarding stages into. First two are basically the registration and the collection of docs and everything what we need to set up something called a vessel model, which is basically a replica of the vessel tanks and pipelines into our application. Once that is done, then we have our type approved hardware, which is the NAVBox, where we would install our application. Once that is done, then that's where the actual training and the familiarization will start in respect of exchanging emails with our unique weekly planners, which are log specific, which the user can then go and carry out various activities, make a record of it. It keeps you on track in respect to what you need to do and how you need to do it. And of course, our support team is backing up that, keeping an eye on what entries are made and the quality of entries and all those things. So that's possible to do. We also take queries in respect of vessel specific questions, for example, or do demos with respect to training or sessions. We also do something called learning based management training, which is basically our LMS portal, where we have some videos. You can watch the videos, do a test, and also take a certificate if needed. This is on the vessel side. On the office side, we also do parallel induction, such as handshake meetings with the client in respect of telling them what's next and how they can prepare themselves. The LMS module is also open for the office people, so they can also train their superintendents. And of course, we will send out weekly messages to them, briefing them about what's the update on their vessels. And of course, we can take feedback meetings. So that's possible on the offsite. So this is what we do with respect to the vessel and the office side in respect of how we familiarize the crew and how we go about it. The next question what we frequently get is what is the certification? Why do we need a certification to go live and to adopt this mechanism? Now, in accordance with MEPC 81274, Section 5 is what which deals with, which requires that a written confirmation is needed to be provided by the administration or the RO on behalf of administration, confirming that the electronic recording system meets the requirement for the purpose of regulatory survey or inspection. Now, the flag approval process can be done in two ways. Uh, One approach is that the flag will already issue a ready approval, such as the certificate to the manufacturer, and then they will issue a vessel certification once the owner or manager approaches them. That's the first approach. The second approach could be when these flags can delegate this procedure to the ROs for the survey and certification. So these are the two different processes how the flag generally issues the certification. Of course, they will ask for a bunch of documents needed for that, such as the weekly planner to confirm that we have done training and the familiarization. They would also need a manufacturer declaration from our end stating that we have done the installation and the training in terms of the requirements. Some checklists will also be attached together with the MOC and the RA done by the owners. So that's about the flag part. Another quick question, if we have time, I can just take up, is more on the cybersecurity part with respect to how do we take care of that part. That's a question which we keep getting in. So we do have a cybersecurity system at NAVTOR, and we have a vision statement which is to approach the cybersecurity in a very adaptive, holistic, and proactive means. What does it mean actually? We have some inherent risk control process to cybersecurity, which is based on the guidelines on maritime cyber risk management issued by the IMO, guidelines on cybersecurity issued by BIMCO, and our vast experience in this field. We work and supplement owners, their IT team, and the cyber policy they have around this to achieve a robust and a resilient ecosystem. As you can see on the screen, these are the type approval certificates what we have both for our hardware and the software. Our hardware is a type approved equipment which is approved by DNV, and we have some measures what we bring in, which is coming up on the screen, and how we take care of that part. Similarly, the software also is approved by LR, and we have certain means built in within the application, such as secured PDFs and validation checks for PDFs, secured APIs, and all those things. So together, as a system, they built up, uh, giving us cyber security preventive measures. And of course, we also use industry leading tools for our information protection,
Right. I think,
included but not limited.
yeah, Hemant, we can elaborate a little bit more on that. I just realized that missed one very important part that some of the tech managers have asked us, and I think that is more over to what I think, Abhishek, you had some specific questions that you wanted me to answer for the tech managers. Could you elaborate on those? Just
Yeah, sure. So the question was around the future integration with IoT sensors. Many of our clients already have working with third party to collect information on the edge on the vessels. And in order to go sort of truly digital with these logbooks, they want to see this information being captured in the logbooks. I know we've begun our journey, but can you comment on what the future looks like with that?
yeah. So this is a question that we keep getting asked because we want to have logs automated pretty much, and I demonstrated a little bit of that. But the way we approach it is we are enhancing the Navbox API. So any data integrator or data aggregator who shares that data with us and includes it in the Navbox API, we can pull that information in to the logs and so also share it across other products that we have within the ecosystem. So that's been our approach so far. And we are working with a couple of clients on this, including some of the data aggregators. So this can be taken as a discussion with you because each ship is different and IoT integration is much more specific to that vessel. So yeah, definitely there. And you had another question, right? That you were
I did.
mentioning.
This was the first question on the page over here. There's of course a comment on the operational side of things. Let's say we've ramped up the vessel crew with the training and familiarization, and then we've sought
Okay.
flag approval and we've gone live and system has gone down. What steps to
Right.
sort of consider?
Yeah. So this part we have, of course, first of all, a type approved hardware, which doesn't require redundancy. But should you wish, you could have the system also available on an additional computer lying as a cold in a cold condition. But how it works is that the database that is being created with the logs is also duplicated to an independent storage location, such as a USB drive or a network shared drive. And if if the system goes down, you actually pick up that backup and restore the application by reinstalling it or in the cold layup computer. But should the system be down, you of course have to have an SMS procedure in place, which then says that if the downtime exceeds a certain amount, you may have to go to paper log keeping till the system is restored and those records can be placed back in the system. So that is how it is addressed as on date. And that's how we are doing it for the live ships for now. Then I think this question on customization, you need to answer for me, Abhishek, because that's something you've been dealing with a lot of clients who have asked you for different changes to logs. And so what's our answer to that part? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's it's quite a common question saying I have an LNG vessel with a Maggie engine. So your off-the-shelf logbooks, which you already have for the engine side, is not purpose-built for our vessel. So what do you offer in that case? So like we mentioned on the slide, one of the USP of our logbooks is the customizability. So as long as we receive a template from you of a filled out page of the engine logbook or the deck logbook, for instance, uh, we take typically, it's hard to specify a time period, but 2 to 4 weeks or even 6 sometimes is sufficient to prepare a template and roll it out to the vessel to trial them and then sort of go live. So the short answer is yes, we can customize. Some limitations, yes, it may not visually look like a one-to-one copy of what you're doing on paper. This is owing to technical constraints around how we digitize a logbook. But the answer is yes, we can customize. So even if you need a gangway visitor log, that could be developed.
Right. And I think there's one more question on the remarks. So the level of customizability on the remarks. So what I could do is I can just briefly show this on screen. So if I'm looking at these remarks here, so if there is something, I think, related to the SMS or any such, let's say, steering gear check, let me check that out. Yeah. So if I'm doing a steering check, so this is now, we've got an auto text, let's say CFR 12 as per SOLAS, and all the details there. But all of this text can be completely customized to make it specific to your SMS procedure as well, should you wish. So I think that should answer the question that was asked to you, Abhishek, on how customizable are these remarks. I trust that's okay.
That is sufficient. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So I think with that, I sort of got some funneled in all those questions that we got before the webinar. I've done that now. Bjørn, sorry, I swapped the flow, but we are ready for actual questions now, live from the audience.
Thank you very much. The reason for us bringing up questions in a structured way in beforehand is because we have them repeating, and a lot of people are asking them. So we thought it would be valuable to get them straight off the bat. And then we've also looked at the chat and also looked at the questions tab along the presentations, and we have answered them in the chat. But to the panel, do you see anything like questions you would like me to bring up that are particularly interesting for us all to see? I can unmute you, because I know there's some questions that we've answered by text, but it would be great to bring them up and discuss them for all to see in case someone missed them in the chat window. So I saw there was one question: what happens to the digital log or data when vessel is handed over? That was pointed out as a good question. Who wants to elaborate?
I think Hemant volunteers, yeah, for that.
Great.
I can take that. So the logbook data is your property, and we're just a custodian. So once the vessel is sold, the data can be handed over back to you in form of PDF, for example, or the database as such. So once we hear from you, we would be taking the data out from our system and handing it back to you. That's the short answer for your question.
Great. Thank you very much, Hemant. I will look at the questions list. We've taken a lot of them in the chat also. We've talked about approval from DNV. We've talked about flag states. Engine.
So there's a question that says, do other parties like Flag have access directly to the logbooks? So that's an interesting one. No, they don't have access directly to the logbooks. I think it's the data is yours. We sign a confidentiality agreement once the logbook software is running with us, and it's for you to share with them should you wish at the time of inspection. Yeah, sorry.
All right, I'm seeing we're running close to the end of our time slot, and we want to be just let everyone know that if there's any questions that we didn't touch upon or didn't answer completely, we will contact each questionnaire directly and answer them from our customer support team, and everyone will get their answer and via email or a direct message. So thank you very much for posting questions and comments, and that so many have shown up for this webinar. So I don't know, Amitabh, is there some final comments do you want to say to the?
Just it is. I'm glad to have had a chance to present the details of our latest release. But I think more so, we'll be happy to engage with any one of you who has specific questions. The mobile app is also available, but it won't work directly right away because until we do the last mile connectivity, because the log has to connect from the mobile app to the actual logbook. So if you're interested, please do reach out. We can set that up for you. Yeah, that's all from my end. I think I see a lot of questions there, which we'll answer also outside the window because we want to respect the time that everyone gave us. I don't want to stretch it. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So with that said, I would just want to say thank you to everyone, and the next webinar will be announced sometime in the early autumn. And all right, thank you for joining this webinar. Until next time.
Thank you very much.